Um, okay, I think they are done.
Great,
Okay,
great.
you can start, Purnima.
All right. Hello to everyone who has joined us, especially our speakers, our moderators, Amrita, our observers, and the audience. It's really amazing to be a part of this platform, and we are here today to talk about Uh, how youth empowerment is gonna roll out in amidst the digital transformations, along with the opportunities and the challenges. So this is largely it's our attempt to address the thematic of reaching the unreached. So yeah, so I'll just start off with Joan Kurbalaija's book. He has written a book on internet governance, wherein he talks about this phenomena that indicates the increasing presence of internet through one specific instance. So Mr. Kurbalaisha talks that he says that back in 2003, Economist magazine started writing internet with a lowercase I. So now this change in editorial policy was inspired by the fact that internet had become an everyday item. It no longer remained unique and it wasn't really that special to warrant an initial capital. So the word internet, therefore, it followed a linguistic destiny of telegraph, telephone, and all of those things which were used wherein the initial word was written with a smaller case. So this perfectly, I believe, sums up how internet has not only evolved, but also in popular understanding in the common imagination, it has sort of, within the span of 20 years, it has become from something from very unique to a very daily life. It's a very, it evolved to a very ordinary probably thing. Obviously, not that ordinary, but yet again, ordinary enough to command a lower case. Right. So today here we have joined with this amazing decade that we are a part of, wherein India is all set to preside over the G20 summit for 2023. India, as we all know, is the home to 560 million internet subscribers. That's second only to China. India has been balancing between promoting welfare policies for the second largest populations, along with the aspirations to become a $5 trillion economy by 2024. Now, this therefore presents a very unique opportunity and very unique set of challenges for a developing nation. Uh, this of course presents a unique opportunity for the youth, for the aspiration of youth, as we constitute the largest demographic of the internet users. As per UNFPA predictions, India will have continue to have one of the youngest population in the entire world till 2030. Now, being the next generation of internet users, youth need therefore need to be a part of the internet governance, and there is a inherent requirement to hold a center stage during the decision making processes, with the scope to contribute to a digital economy. For youth, of course, there are a lot of challenges around digital skilling, access to internet, device affordability, cyber security, and amongst all of these challenges, somehow, I mean, we understand that this kind of limits the empowerment that internet therefore could have provided them. And of course, there is this entire potential of ICTs, as we understand, that could have been offered to these younger population. Uh, on the line of ICTs empowering population, Prime Minister Narendra Modi this year has also addressed a very similar, has also shared very similar vision. He has said that in the Bangalore Tech Summit, he said that India has shown how tech can be used for social welfare. So this idea of social welfare, along with the idea how internet therefore it's equally important, and and even the IPRC, Internet Rights and Principle Coalition, for therefore they have recognized these 10 internet principles, and they have this particular principle on accessibility that talk about how everyone has an equal right and access, equal right to access and use a secure and open internet. uh, with all these and with all this entire backdrop, and along with that, youth being a very key stakeholder, this session therefore intends to shed light on how digital systems ecosystem can be made more probably youth inclusive, and how these challenges and opportunities could therefore be addressed. I would quickly introduce today's speakers. We have some amazing speakers with us today. So first of all, we have Shivam Sankar Singh. So he's a data analyst. He has worked closely in Indian politics. He's a Lamb Fellow, and he has written a bestseller on how to win an Indian election. He's a Schwarzman Scholar 2022, and he's currently working on a project on information warfare. Next, we have is Bhuvna Meenakshi Koteshwaran. She's a founder of Women in Tech Collective, and she's a socio-tech researcher. She's also a Mozillian. She's a Wikimedian. She's a multi-dimensional space enthusiast. She's one of the recipients of Shuttleworth Flash Grants Award 2021. Bhuvna has also initiated a Women in Tech community in India to enable more voices in the area of STEM. She's also the co-founder of Imageability, an initiative to make the world inclusive and provide accessible technology for the specifically for the neurodiverse communities. Uh, Next, we have Pranav Bhaskar Tiwari. He is a tech law policy researcher, and he's working along with the empowerment team of the Internet Society. Internet Society is a global non-profit platform that's advocating for an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet for everyone, everywhere. Pranav is also an alum of Youth IGF India, a fellow from 2019 cohort. Now, a bit about Youth IGF India. Youth IGF India is a platform which which empowers and promotes youth to the decision making processes in the internet governance domain. That leads to Ihita. Ihita will be joining us shortly. Ihita is the co-founder of Youth IGF India. She's also my co-moderator today. She has been involved in internet governance initiative for some while, and she has since last 5 years. So she's also a board member at Generation Connect Visionary Board at ITU, and she's currently a master student at Triple IT India, Hyderabad. Lastly, I would quickly introduce myself. I'm IGF Youth Ambassador 2021, and I pursued post graduation in from Center for Culture, Media and Governance. I have delivered a program on digital literacy in Chhattisgarh, and I've also contributed to a UNESCO report on multi-stakeholder AI development, 10 building blocks for inclusive policy design. So with this introduction, I would quickly go on to our speakers. Uh, I'll start off with Shivam. Shivam, yeah, hi. So with this, like, because since Shivam, you come from this background of a socio-political and also economist background, with in-depth understanding of how global technology has evolved over the time, how do you understand the digital transformation that has taken place in India and its significance?
Thank you, Punama, and thank you to Youth IGF India for organizing this session on this really important topic. Uh, I mostly work in the space of information warfare, so we focus a lot on the harm that the internet can cause and how you can actually weaponize an information environment. But starting out, I would focus on three big that the internet presents. Specifically because the session is focused on youth, the opportunities and
Okay, your voice is breaking a bit,
in
Shivam.
India
Can
right
you?
now and are likely
Yeah. So we can't hear you, Shivam, as of now.
so fine
Can
now.
you please
Yeah,
repeat that?
I tried to
Yeah,
speak
yeah, much
louder.
better.
Is fine. Okay, perfect. So what I was saying was there are three big opportunities that I would like to talk about first, and these are things which are going to help India a lot going forward if we are able to capitalize upon them. The first one is remote work, and I believe the trend towards remote work and anyone being able to work from anywhere, that's become a cultural norm because of COVID. India will be a net beneficiary of it. There is going to be new opportunities for the youth to earn in foreign currencies, wages which would be much higher than the domestic market. This labor arbitrage is ultimately going to be something that is going to expand our consumer market domestically too, because they are going to end up spending in the local economy while living in their local areas, while earning in euros and pounds and dollars. The second trend I would say is that new markets are opening up to Indians because of the internet. And these new markets are global markets because right now anyone can create a product for any global market, sell anywhere across the world. But also a domestic internal new market is opening up of over 1 billion people who live in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, who live in the villages of India. And people now can sell and direct products towards them. The third big opportunity that I see is actually in the education space because knowledge is now suddenly free thanks to the internet. What you have now is the best teachers from across the world, the universities from across the world, putting on content online that pretty much anyone can access and learn for free. This is an opportunity that, if our youth focuses on, is going to be massively transformative in the coming. But with these kind of opportunities, there are also many challenges, and the challenges space is where I've mostly worked on. So again, focusing on just three of them. One big challenge that we have in this country is that the information environment is splitting. Anyone can create content and get massive distribution now. So we don't even debate what's good and what's bad. We debate what's true and what's fact and what's not a fact. And in essence, a person's entire perception of is based on the information that they. So in this regard, people are living in different realities now, based on the content that they're getting on their Facebook feeds, on their Twitter and their Instagram. They form a certain belief about the world. They form a certain worldview that might not be like compatible with someone else's worldview, and this is creating massive societal risk and societal fractures. One thing, the second book is on warfare. We actually track different in but a foreign actor was actually collecting data on them, which used as like weaponized the and could be propelled against some point of time. We actually did a project with the Gurgaon Cyber Police, and just in a 6 month period, we saw 1 to 2 8 cases of cyber fraud, 6.8 crores people's digital accounts. And what you have right now in this country is frictionless technology. It's so easy to transfer money. We have systems like UPI that allow you to send one, which is brilliant. What digital is an environment of a lot of scams happening. And in a circumstance like this, where technology is so easy and so frictionless, what we saw, and this was 2019-20, an average of 7 crores. If you look at right now, it's probably higher even in that one police station. But even data on this is not that easily publicly available. So this is an area that we'll have to focus on. The third one is definitely the cybersecurity risks that you mentioned. In India right now, I strongly believe that we've severely funded and appreciated the role of cybersecurity in a lot of things, in securing our network infrastructure, in securing our data. Uh, Insert the organization that is supposed to be responsible for responding to cyber breaches, cyber threats, responding to bug reports, isn't exactly very responsive. The other component of it is that we don't exactly have an ethical hacking or bug reporting mechanism in place. So a lot of times, friends in the domain who found certain essentially vulnerabilities in the issue don't know where to go. And when they do go to authorities, there have been instances of FIRs being filed against them for reporting a vulnerability in the system. So these things will have to be fixed for us to move forward. The third thing, as we saw with the AIMS hospital ransomware attack right now, or the October Tata Power breach, uh, IT talent in this country needs to be fostered. This is an opportunity and a risk at the same time because cybersecurity talent is in demand globally. I have a lot of friends in the space who have job offers from foreign companies at much higher wages. So a lot of them in the past few years have moved abroad. These are highly mobile skills which you can pretty much like demand the highest wages globally and move to another country. And even getting residencies and citizenships is quite easy if you're, say, a cybersecurity expert. So India needs to figure out how to train more of these people, and then we need to figure out how to retain these people in this country. And these three challenges, I believe, are really important to address for us to move forward on the internet domain. Over to you, Purnima.
Great, great. That's some that has made us all think about the dynamics thoroughly. With this background of this context that you have set of the threats and the challenges, I would like to reach out to Bhuvna on this. Bhuvna, you have worked in making internet inclusive for neurodiverse communities, and I've been encouraging women to pursue careers in STEM and through your collective. How do you think, therefore, with the backdrop that Shivam has said, how do you think then could reaching the unreached could be further explored, and how probably can youth contribute to this?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kunman. Thanks, Shivam. That was definitely insightful. Uh,
Bhuvna, your voice is a bit feeble. Can you be a bit loud?
okay, one second. Let me just disconnect.
Um, Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better now.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Purnima, and thanks, Shivam, for the insightful, observations and also for sharing your thoughts. May I share my screen to just share the points I've brought for today?
Sure.
Um, awesome. Hope this is visible. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Cool. With the focus of youth engagement in today's technology and where we are moving towards a decade, with the improvements with digital India and new policies that have come across with different engagement of technical aspects and governance. Just starting with like how UN defines, there isn't a universal standard of human understanding where the youth population comes into, like, what's like the age group or the category that falls into. But in general, the United Nations says it's between 15 to 24, and according to the Indian national youth policy, it is 13 to 35. So this is again universally not standard, but it's aspects of like how different nations take this into consideration. So, as per keeping with the Indian norms, let us keep it in the 13 to 35 range, and then um, throughout this, where I'll be sharing my thoughts, it would focus on these uh, group of ages. And with the new decade coming into evolution, and as per the Digital India Week 2022, where Honorable Prime Minister also decided about various schemes that have been unveiled for the new generation. And it's not in particular for the youth, but it's in general access to the public. Definitely a lot of improvements in terms of like reducing the logistics or reducing middlemen, reducing different cost in making optimization of resources has been observed throughout different industries, like the semiconductor chip designing, or fintech, or even space technology, and also with the new production linked incentives scheme coming in. So a lot of opportunities in terms of like tech startups, tech oriented engagement for different audiences, and mainly involving the youth population, because that's the majority of the population that India has, and we need to focus on this particular engagement of youth. Now, where are we trying to engage this youth population in India is another question here. So with the unemployment rates um, scaling up, and also on the other hand, there's this uh, skill gap, where particular potential for particular digital technology is being trained, let it be in academia or let it be elsewhere, where how and where is this knowledge and skill gap being addressed, which constitutes to or like is more proportionate to the employment rate of where the Indian youth is being engaged, is a kind of like uh, is more like something that needs to be explored in terms of like understanding youth engagement in tech, or in sort of any engagement with that directly responses to the employability rate. So and also like how finding jobs, or like in terms of like how the trainings being offered, and how affordable and how accessible these trainings are for different audiences. Now, even amidst the youth, there is again different sort of categories, like it could be in terms of age, gender, or even in terms of various like challenges in terms of physical, or in terms of neurodiverse spaces, right? So how is this engagement being monitored, and how this can also balance across the engagement with the digital technology is quite of like an interesting thing that is that is still being worked out. But I would say like it's where while we are focusing on scaling up different technology, these are also to be considered while we think about empowerment of the youth. Um, so, so to be very specific about where youth participation needs more focus on, or like where we can build definite opportunities for the youth. So it's more of like understanding where these are not really inclusive. Like for example, if you take rural areas, like I basically come from Salem in Tamil Nadu, and we have a lot of rural areas here surrounded by, and engagement of like digital access, or even in terms of internet access, or even let us say with improvement of IT sectors here, has been a little lesser when compared to what we see as like in a metropolitan city, or like a bigger city like Chennai or Bangalore. So, but of course, the youth population, and also the interest in taking these technologies and involving in these technologies has always been greater, because a lot of them are engaged in computer science related aspects, and and also the employment due to unemployment, there is heavy immigration of people from different places where they find opportunities. So how rural youth can find opportunities from where they reside, or from where they are based out of, and also somewhere connecting it with agricultural based modules and agriculture sectors, because a lot of these rural areas are more concentrated on agriculture, and also how these impact in turn with the climate change, and also how is the scope for startup ventures, venture capital, to invest in a place, no matter no matter where the demography is, but still trying to help in scaling these smaller areas, and and also focusing on online based virtual trainings, because a lot of courses, a lot of evolving technology improves on the other side of the world, but there is no access to the modules from here. So how those gaps could be filled. And also, as Shivam already mentioned about the e-commerce, definitely there is, even here, in rural setup as well, we find a lot of places now, where they've started to turn into digital payments. And also, like, even an auto driver today takes a digital payment, accepts digital payment. So that's the level of reach where, where this is getting into. But how directly the youth could be engaged, or like finding the opportunities, is needs to be a little more improvised. And yes. So, with regard to accessibility, and I mean, how and where we can improve on this. So, of course, the creating responsive systems, and also reporting systems, as mentioned, in terms of even privacy policies. Um, there is, about, like, how we bring in a localized channel system for reporting and response, is definitely of a priority. And also, more education on skill development activities, taking little beyond academia, or the academia to involve all the latest technologies, with the improvised course content and design. And of course, focusing on other human centric attributes for the youth. And of course, with diverse and inclusive participation, from people from different abilities, people from different, I would say, like, neurodiverse, or even people who have different physical constraints, how they can actively engage in tech. Like, I've seen MyGov as a platform where people voice out about different policies and stuff. But still, I see that there's a need of, like, different uh, audience of from the youth to represent and voice out about, let it be in terms of, like, the new education policy, or even there is an accessibility app that is being rolled out by the government. So uh, we essentially need to bring out our views for the government to, to see where we need, as a country, to improve. And that could only be possible as if we do it collectively. And yeah, so those were just a few cents from my side.
Great, great. Thanks, Buana. You have very beautifully explained how there is a inherent, I mean, there's a gap between the learning systems and what the industry requirements are. On this note, therefore, I would invite Pranav, who is sort of an authority about digital skilling, and like I would like to understand about Pranav on how this idea of meaningful skill building for these youths that Buana has just underlined. This particularly this idea could be taken forward, and how sort of engagement therefore could be created. Over to you, Pranav.
Thanks, Purnima, and to the Youth IGF India for inviting me here today. And many thanks to Shivam and Bhuvana to beautifully explain the opportunities in this ecosystem, and Bhuvana for explaining the skilling ecosystem in India, and what are the few challenges there are, and where are the opportunities to move forward. And I think with India taking the G20 leadership, it's very important to understand the role of multi-stakeholder approach and the involvement of the youth in such discussions as we lead into this decade. And we also need to understand the need of this skill building. So the initial internet pioneers who have been providing leadership in the internet space for the past 30 years are moving into retirement, and we do not have enough young people taking up leadership and governance roles, and which is why we need more skill building. And I can say Shivam here is a lamb fellow. I was a youth IGF fellow and then an early career fellow at the Internet Society. And for me, that was a defining moment in my career. It really helped me understand my potential. And of course, these initiatives were for more impact oriented initiatives. Fellowships are for a limited number. Internet Society, I work in their empowerment department, and their goal is to enable people to advocate for an open, globally connected, secure, and trustworthy internet. And for that, we have programs also for skilled impacts. We have a training and e-learning department as well. And there we've trained over 10,000 people globally on advocacy, policy, and core internet infrastructure management related aspects as well. So this kind of scaled impact is also required in addition to the kind of fellowships that may be provided. And here again, it is important to understand what are those skills that are required in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 era. Having researched on that at length in my previous avatar, I'm aware that it's not that with the internet jobs would be lost at a scale. It's just that there'll be intensification of roles, right? There will be more requirement of human skills. And with the recent the chat GPT has taken a lot of popularity right now, but it has been in existence for a lot while now. And if we have to compete with that, it is the human skills that will differentiate us. So those are the skills that we need to train our youth in. And in our fellowship programs, we focus on that, on policy, on advocacy, on leadership in VUCA, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous circumstances. This is where you can bring out a change through sustained skill building and also providing a center stage to the youth to engage. So in all our fellowships, there is a symposium towards the end where everyone comes and engages, and we invite audience across the globe. And we are having the symposium for the mid-career fellowship on 14th of December. And if anybody would like to join, please feel free to contact me. I'll send you an invitation right away. And for our youth ambassador program, we go beyond that and we send the youth to travel to the global IGF and participate in person. And we are trying to even broaden the scope of the number of events that we'll be sending the youth to. So such participation at a global level is important. And with India taking the leadership in G20, it won't be just Delhi or Mumbai where the events will happen. This will be across India, and this is the time where the youth, as part of the Y20 initiative within G20, should participate, and it will be on organizations like Youth IGF India to empower the youth, to provide let them know about such opportunities, and also provide some level of skilling before they participate, so that that participation is meaningful. I think those would be some of the key aspects moving forward. Beyond that, COVID-19 has been a very tumultuous period for everyone, and I might say it still is. Uh, but with the negative externalities around education at the beginning, where people were not able to access schools, uh, it has a positive silver lining of sorts, that now children have access to digital technologies to learn. People are now more people have access to smartphone for use of education technology, and the edtech startup has also risen, and there have been more some sorts of checks and balances instituted through government policies. So with this, I think now there is more access to online based virtual training, as Bhuvana was mentioning in her discussion, in her presentation. So that is something that we really need to leverage. But there is an important, very crucial impediment in between. We do not have a data protection law, and we are seeing AI-enabled facial recognition softwares being deployed in classrooms. We are seeing that all these sessions are being recorded on LMS. So we do need something to ensure, before we empower the youth, we have to also ensure that they are safe and secure in that digital environment. If we are breaking encryption, then their chats are also vulnerable to cybersecurity threats. And Shiva mentioned the challenges in our cybersecurity ecosystem and the gaps that we have to fill. He talked about vulnerability reporting and the challenges ethical hackers face when they're trying to report bugs and challenges. And obviously, there is a need to that these gaps are closed in the upcoming Digital India Act, and we have a robust national cybersecurity strategy which has been long pending. So, and I think this quarter is quite defining in that sense, because we not only had the telecom draft telecom bill 2022 come in, and now the digital data protection bill 2022 come in, and Digital India Act is also not far, as the ministry says. So these are very good signals that these acts are coming. There is open discussions, consultations, and I think this is also again important that youth also participates in such consultations. And I hope Youth IGF in itself should send comments, and I'd be happy to help as an alum if that goes ahead. But I think these are important places where we have to engage with the government, and ensure that the youth is also able to participate, and we create awareness about these things, not only just about the challenges in the ecosystem and ensure their online safety, but also about the opportunities, because there exist many opportunities, but we are not able to reach them. For example, many central universities and state universities, the fees has to be reimbursed for the college as per the government plan, and there's a dedicated funding for it. But for 3 years, 4 years, that funding has not been received by the end user. So I think these are some of the crucial aspects, and I think moving forward we'll be able to cover more of them. Over to you,
Right.
Purnima.
Thank you, Pranav. That was really comprehensive from discussion from your end. Thank you, Amrita, for highlighting that we are, I mean, like there are 13 minutes left. So, Pranav, we have rightly talked about the impact that are required currently in the industry, the importance of cybersecurity, the how the importance of this quarter for that matter in regards to regulation of internet, data protection, and also further about meaningful connectivity, that it's not only important to stay connected but also in meaningful ways. Of course, has how pandemic has taught us that it has really catalyzed the digital transformation in a very new innovative ways. So with that, I would like to open up to questions to the audience. We really encourage you to keep this as a to help us create this as an engaging and learning conversation for everyone. So you can drop your questions, your queries, anything that you would like our speakers to further discuss about or elaborate in the comments chat box. And I would also request the admin to help us with the questions in the YouTube link as well. Great. So we have Shruti. She has okay. She has dropped a question. Shruti, if you can also drop a text on whom do your question. I mean, who do you address? Who want to address your question to? Okay. So I think I'll just read it out, and then probably the speakers can decide who wants to take it. Yeah. Okay. So her question is, what is the role of foundational literacy and numeracy in the youth empowerment? So she says that India's G20 vision plan recognizes this principle, but where do we stand in actual terms of development and implementation of foundational learning and skilling schemes? So I think Pranav, probably you can take up this question as you have talked about digital skilling at length.
Thanks, Purnima, and thanks, Shruti, for this question. Um, Foundational numeracy is an important aspect and a commitment by India and G20 as part of the Nipun Bharat scheme, that children in the age of 1 to 3 have foundational literacy and numeracy. And I think this again goes back to the end user, how much we are ensuring that they are able to access education. It is definitely a fundamental right now, but access to education. But beyond that, I think there are so many resources that we have not been able to utilize For example, the use of fund, that is the universal service obligation fund that is paid by the telecommunication providers, uh, 50% of it was not utilized. So we do need to have a lot of monitoring, evaluation, that how these resources are being used, whether the resources that are reaching to the that are being allocated for the end users development, be it at the foundational learning stage at the age of 1 to 3, or be it about the access to computers for students in class 8th or 10th. So there is a need for checks and balances to oversee that, where are the gaps, where are the leakages in this ecosystem. And also moving forward, we also have aspects of educational exchange within the G20 countries. An excellent example of this is the Gati initiative, that is gender advancement through transforming institutions. That is a relationship between India and UK, where they together ensure that women in STEM are fostered to participate in academic institutions and their leadership is built. So I think more such collaborations need to be developed within the G20 countries, and India should definitely take on a role and ensure that not just youth but also women uh, are provided in the center stage to discuss more these issues, which is an important aspect of a multi-stakeholder approach in the internet governance space. Back to you, Purnima.
Great. Thank you, Pranav, for answering that. If there any other question, feel free to drop it in the chat box. I think I have one question which I would like to direct to our speakers. Shivam, this one is for you especially. So I want to understand on how youth can expect what can actually youth expect in this next decade that we are witnessing as of now.
So I really feel the next decade is actually going to be quite a complex time for the internet, because there are obvious positives in the economic sense and there are obvious positives when it comes to accessing information and learning. But there are also big challenges which no one has been able to figure out globally. These aren't India specific, but things like misinformation and disinformation, splitting of the information space entirely, where everyone's seeing completely different versions of reality, and societal fractures and foreign actors coming into your information space and molding it a certain way. These kind of challenges are global things. As you noticed in the US, on January 6th, right after Donald Trump lost the elections, there was an entire contingent of people who believed that he'd actually won the elections, and they stormed the US parliament because of it. So even things and discussions in the information space don't remain there. They have real world consequences. We've seen this with lynching based on the rumors of child kidnapping circulating on WhatsApp in Indian villages. So these kind of issues and challenges, the world will have to tackle in a lot of ways. So even though our focus should be on the opportunities that the internet provides in terms of the economic benefit, in terms of exporting out our goods, exporting out our services, talent, learning from the entire world, we also need to be cognizant of this. The second major challenge I see is globally there are two models of the internet. One, we've all been talking about a secure and free internet. That's the model that the US propagates. There is also a model of a very strong nation controlled internet. China is probably the best example of it, where the government completely controls what is there on the internet. Uh, what is ultimately happening right now is nations are getting to choose between these two models. India is closer to the free and open internet, but we have had internet shutdowns. Right now, we had shutdowns in Rajasthan and Assam to prevent cheating in government exams. So it's not even for national security and law and order. Now we are doing it for stopping cheating and things like that. We also have a censorship regime in place, which is nowhere close to what China has, but which is also not as free and open as a lot of other Western democracies. So, in this kind of an environment, it's important for the youth to speak up on what they see as the internet being. Should it be nation controlled? Should it be censored? How much of it should be censored? What should be the parameters for it? Who ultimately decides what information gets to stay up and what doesn't? These are all going to be important challenges in the coming decade.
Very interesting. Okay, we have Another question from Ayush Tripathi. Ayush, I would also request you to kindly drop the name of the speaker who you want who you want to address this question. So I'll just read out the question. Ayush says, "What do you think is the role of Skill India program of the government with respect to skilling the youth? Do you think there is a need for greater focus on youth development?" Anyone who would like to take the question can take it up. Our speakers.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is regarding Skill India program. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks for the question, Ayush. So yeah, of course, like with the Skill India program that has evolved, and also there has been set aside a lot of funds and sponsorships for universities and academia who want to also take this up, and like Atal Tinkering Labs and a few others which are helping in scaling the particular make in India movements and things like that. So for those reasons, but I would say more than utilizing the particular way of how they are being more moderated, the course is being moderated. I would say proper assessment of like what is the need. I mean, what is the exact need of development or skill that is required to address the industrial gaps is more essential. And this survey has to be taken from the grassroots level in order to understand or even to even reach the particular youth who have been engaged in those platforms, right? So and
Right.
also how these skills can also potentially help in small scale industries in development of MSME or even other small level industries, right? So those could be something that could help in
Right, right.
this development.
Thanks, Muhana. And I'll take the next question, and this will be the last question. The question is from Nanda. It's addressed to Shivam. So Nanda wants to understand: are youth more or less susceptible to the false information on social media? She talks about how youths are being desensitized to information contained in the ads because of the saturation. So, is this leading to some sort of vulnerability on social media on some levels?
Uh, so the youth somehow is actually more susceptible to misinformation. It's because they are on media more often and they spend more time on these platforms. And this country does not use smartphones at the same rate or does not spend as much time on them. The second part is being desensitized to advertising is one part. But if your stream of social media is flooded with content from, say, one political side or one information stream, then it becomes very difficult for that to not shape your worldview. So, in that respect, they're actually more susceptible. Uh, what can be done by the platforms in terms of policy, it's actually a really complicated problem because you and I might not agree on what's real and what's fake. And it's very difficult to have one overarching entity say, okay, this is going to be real and this is not going to be real. We see this challenge play out right now over Twitter. If you notice, they censored a lot of tweets about Hunter Biden essentially during the US elections because they thought it was election misinformation, except now evidence is coming out that it wasn't misinformation at all. And them censoring that content might have affected the outcomes of the election. So these are extremely complicated topics. We do not have a good solution for them, but ultimately we will have to find a solution if society is to function in a like non-fractured manner essentially.
Right, right. Thank you, Shivam, for addressing that. So, I think with this, we come to the end of the session. We have had some amazing discussion about the skilling of the youth, especially the Industrial Revolution 4.0, the global context of how different nations perceive internet and how they regulate the internet for that matter. It has been a wonderful experience. I would like to thank our speakers. Thank you, Shivam. Thank you, Pranav. Thank you, Bhuvna, for joining. Hita unfortunately couldn't join. She has been traveling, but I'm sure she gives her best wishes to all of you. So, with this, I would like to end the session now. Thank you, the audience, especially for those amazing questions. Have a great day. day all. Have a great day ahead, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.